What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning into my channel. I'm very excited to bring this video to you. So this is video number 3 in the handstand series. And in this video, we're going to talk about the exercises I use to help learn how to actually correct your balance in the handstand. Now, keep in mind, there's a reason why I separated these handstand videos up into these 3 sections. So the first video dealt with alignment, the second video dealt with strength, and today we're going to talk about balance. So if you can't do any of the work that's in the prior videos, then I don't want you to just jump into this video and start from here. All of these exercises build off of one another, so that means that you need to go through taking the time to do the work in the previous 2 before you should be getting to this stuff. I have links for those videos in the description, as well as the links that were just up above. Let's get into the good stuff right here, right now. So, I know you have probably seen this before, but this is going to come in handy again. Whenever we warm up our wrists and our upper body for handstand work, I like to start with the 6-point wrist prep. You can click on the link to check that out right now. It's also in the description. After you're done that 6-point wrist prep, you're gonna do your first knuckle raises and your reverse wrist curls. Now, that first knuckle raise looks like this. Let me give you a side view here. I'm going to lift the palm and the thumb and then bring the palm and the thumb back down to the ground. Okay, my width with my hands is about shoulder width apart. Just like when I'm in my handstand, I want to make sure that my hands are this distance. I don't want to be far out like this. I want to make sure that my bones are vertically stacked. So when you're doing these exercises, make sure you start to get that spacing that you want to. Now again, with this first knuckle raise, one of the exercises that we're going to do coming up is going to involve this action. So I want you to be able to refer back to this when it's time. Now, with the first knuckle raise, you're going to do 10 to 12 repetitions for 3 sets. You're going to couple it with this exercise. This is a reverse wrist push-up. As I'm doing this, I'm trying to get the top of the hands to the ground. I'm keeping as tight of a fist as I can. I load the muscles by bending elbows, coming down, straightening the elbows out, and coming back up to the top. Top of the hands down, bending the elbows, keeping that nice tight fist, coming back up to the top. Once again, you're gonna do 10 to 12 repetitions with this one. And again, do your first knuckle raises and your reverse wrist push-ups for 3 sets after you have done that 6-point wrist prep. Okay, here we go. Now, let's get on to the good stuff. Okay, so the first drill that I like people to get acquainted with when balancing is crow pose or frog pose, whatever you call it. Maybe you don't have a name for it and you still do it. So a lot of people ask about where they should be placing their hands in this position, or where they should be placing their arms. So wherever you're comfortable doing it is where I want you to put your legs onto your arms. So some people like to have their knees on the tricep, something like this. Some people like to have the arms inside of the knees and resting outward like this. Again, you don't have to have your knees jammed all the way into your armpits. Like if you're doing a crane, we're not trying to do anything crazy like that. We just want you to be able to stack your body onto your arms and just start to learn how to balance yourself here. Now, those of you that are timid and are afraid to get into this position, if you've never done it, what I want you to do is so let's see here. I'm going to actually bring my head onto the object, and then I'm gonna lift my feet, and then I'm gonna try to come off the object. This object is a little too high. Let's do this. I'm lowering the height of what I'm trying to work with here. So again, I'm going to bring my forehead onto the object, and then I'm going to shift my weight back enough where the head can come off. And if you go too far underbalanced, you're just going to come onto your feet. When you're taking your feet off of the ground, I want you to do it in a certain sequence. So now I'm going to show you the feet. Onto my hands. I come forward. I lift one foot first, and then I slowly begin to shift my weight and then take the other foot off. All right? So that way you're not hopping up into this position. You want to slowly shift your head and your shoulders forward and down, bringing your head towards the ground. You really want to stick your head way far out so that way you can counterbalance the weight of your lower body. So you'll notice that my forearm should be somewhere around vertical when I'm in this position. And again, the hands are actually a little wider than shoulder width for this. And I'm going to slightly turn my pointer fingers out just a bit. So I'm in that hand position. Notice how far I have to come forward and down with my head and shoulders. Lifting one foot, then slowly lifting the other foot. My head is pretty close to the ground from where I started. And my hands are active. So you don't just get into a balance point and just stay there. You have to make small adjustments in your hand in order to keep yourself balanced. That's what balance work is all about. We do the same thing when we stand up on our feet. We're either falling towards the front or we're falling towards the back. And believe it or not, we're making small little adjustments every day as we're standing and as we're walking. So it's going to be the same thing with our hands. Over time, you're going to get better and more efficient at making those corrections. So that means that those corrections will look a lot more subtle, and it's almost going to look like you're being completely still when you're balancing. But even though when you're in that handstand, you're doing all kinds of little micro movements in the hands and elbows, shoulders. When I'm in my handstand, I feel like it's chaos. I'm feeling everything. My hands are rocking around. It's active. It's not this like still Zen moment. There's a lot of work going on, and it takes a lot of work to keep yourself balanced. So you want to be able to get up to a 30-second hold in crow pose. And then you're ready to go to the next drill. This is going to be cool, people. So now this is called a heel pull. And from our second video, when we talked about how to build up the strength for the handstand, we were working this wall kick up. And luckily, that's what we're going to do to get into this position, because the heel pull is a back-facing wall handstand exercise. And what the heel pull does is it helps us learn how to correct an over-balanced handstand. Now, over-balanced is if I were to kick up, if I were to overbalance, I would go this way, to the wall. So in order to prevent myself from falling into the wall, I need to push my fingers into the ground. And this is where that first knuckle raise comes into play. Because look at this really quick. When I do my first knuckle raise, I am lifting the palm and the thumb. But really what I'm doing is I'm actually shifting and pushing my weight into my fingers. So when you go and kick up to this wall, you're going to want to pretend like you're doing a first knuckle raise, but you're not going to be able to lift the palm because all of your body weight is going to be on your hands. What's going to happen is you're going to feel your fingers pressing into the ground, okay? This is what's going to stop you from slamming your heels into the wall, all right? You're going to basically pump the brakes, or you're going to stop yourself from slamming into the wall. Now, some people might explain that in the opposite, where if you want to take your heels off of the wall, then you need to push your fingers into the ground to get your heels off. So they might say that pushing the fingers onto the ground would be like pressing a gas pedal. That's another way that you could look at it, but it's kind of the opposite of what I said in the beginning. But essentially, that's what we're going to do. One more thing before I get up in the wall and try and show it to you. The closer your body or your hands are when you set yourself up for this drill, the easier it's going to be to get your heels to come off the wall. So with this exercise, you want to take the heels off, and then you want to let the heels come back. And you're going to want to do repetitions. As you do this, when you first start, maybe you hold for 1 second every time. So the heels are off, you bring them back. That's 1. Heels off, bring them back. 2. Maybe you would do 10 reps of that. Over time, you're going to be able to hold your heels off longer. So maybe in 4 weeks, now you're doing a 3-second hold off the wall, and then you're going back. 1, 2, 3, wall. Push the fingers into the ground, get the heels off. 1, 2, 3, wall. Another 4 weeks passes. Now you're doing 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and so on and so on. If your hands are too far away from the wall, it's going to be way too hard to get your heels to come off of the wall. So you need to make sure you're in this sweet spot, not too close where it's like really easy to push yourself off, but not too far where if you feel like you're pressing into the wall, you're not going to be able to get the heels off. Now, a couple other things I want to talk to you about, but I'm just going to show you. So let me be in a spot where hopefully you can see what's going on. Okay. All right, so I am going to start on the ground doing this. I always say a staggered start. It's basically a stationary start. And I'm going to bring my heels up to the wall. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that first knuckle raise. I'm going to press my fingers into the wall. My heels come off. And then I let go of that press and my heels go back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on and so on. So, now, the other thing about that is, in order to make this move happen, if you're going to press your fingers into the ground and you want to get your feet to move, your whole body needs to have tension. So just like we did in video number 1, that front body line drill, or in video number 2, chest to wall handstand hold, you want to make sure that you're in that posterior pelvic tilt. You're elevating your shoulders. You're externally rotating your arms. Your hands are pressing into the ground. So hands are tight, arms are tight, shoulders are tight. Upper and lower torso is tight. Your legs are going to be squeezing together. Your big toes are connected and pressing into each other. So that means that your whole body is tense. You're basically like a board, right? Nice and stiff. If you're nice and stiff, it's going to work. You're going to press your fingers. Your heels are going to come off. You're going to let go of the press. You're going to fall back into the wall. The last thing I'm going to say about this exercise, because it's a back-facing wall balance drill for handstands, naturally your back is going to want to go into extension, which is the opposite position that you want to be in, okay? So if your hands are further away, your back is probably going to be extended quite a bit because your back has to do that to get the heels there. So you need to keep that in mind. You need to make sure that you're really trying to go into that posterior pelvic tilt. Keep in mind this positioning. Again, this is the reason why you need to be really good at all of the other exercises I talked about in the last 2 videos, because otherwise this stuff isn't going to work. And I want you to be able to kick up and do this. I want you to be able to hold that handstand. Okay, so I know I'm talking a lot today, but it's really important that you know all the nuances of this stuff so you can actually be successful in doing it. Now, let's go on to the final balance drill, and this is the toe pull. So now with this one, we're gonna be learning how to correct an under-balanced handstand. So we know that over-balancing is when we're up in the handstand and we continue to go over, and you learn how to press your fingers into the ground to stop you, and you can bring your feet back. Now, underbalanced is, let's say you kick up and you don't quite hit that balance point and you fall back down. That's an underbalanced handstand. So anytime you're starting to come back down the way that you came up. So there's a certain order of operations that you can do in order to get yourself back onto that balance point. I'll show you what the drill is really quick, but then I'm gonna explain what I'm doing with my hand in order to make this drill work. So there's a little nuance that you need to know. So with this one, you're going to, just like we did in video number 2, you're gonna use that wall walk. You're gonna get up the wall. You're gonna get not as close as you would for chest to wall handstand holds. You're gonna keep your hands a little further away. First thing you're gonna do is you're gonna get your shoulders over your hands. Then you're gonna get your hips over your shoulders. Then you're gonna press the back of the hand, the heel of the hand, and then I'm gonna press into my fingers and go back to the wall. Let me move the hands back just a little more. So, shoulders over the hands, hips over the shoulders, pressing from the back of my hand, now pressing the fingers back in to go back to the wall. Shoulders, hips, heel of the hand, fingers. Shoulders, hips, heel of the hand, pressing fingers to go back. Okay. Now this one is definitely the most advanced exercise that I'm showing you guys. A lot of you aren't going to even be able to attempt this because you have to spend more time practicing your wall walks, and you have to spend more time doing your chest to wall handstand holds, as well as learning how to do that cartwheel exit. If you're not comfortable with doing all 3 of those things, you should not be trying this exercise. Now, let's say you did put the time in, you're comfortable with doing those 3 things. You're gonna walk up the wall like I did. You're gonna find that distance that works for you. So again, you shift the shoulders over the hands, then you get your hips over your shoulders, which is over your hands, because when we're in a handstand, we want to get our center of mass, which is our hips, over our base of support, which is our hands. So shoulders and hips are over the hands. Then to get the feet off, what I did was I pushed from the heel of my palm. I pushed this into the ground to send my body weight forward. When my body weight went forward, then I had to go into this. So technically I had to then do the heel pull drill. Now I have to pump the brakes to stop my body, and I have to get my legs to go back to the wall. So again, look at my hand. I got my chest, I got my shoulders over my hands, then I got my hips over my shoulders and hands. At that point, to get the feet off, you're gonna press from the from the heel of the palm. You're gonna get your weight to come forward. As you feel your body weight coming forward, you're gonna press the brakes in the fingers to stop your feet from coming forward. You're gonna continue to press in the fingers so it pushes your feet back to the wall. Holy moly. Now, maybe you think it sounds easy and you're gonna be wrong. And most of you will think that that sounds hard, and you're absolutely right. But what I will tell you is this: if you truly take the time to practice all of the exercises in that first video. Take some more time to practice all the exercises in the second video. Get comfortable with all that, and then start incorporating these skills and drills. I guarantee if you're practicing enough, because with handstand training and with any skill training, it takes consistency. You need to put in the time. But if you are serious about it, if you do practice consistently, you're gonna get that handstand. And I cannot wait to get some comments saying that you can now do your handstand. I truly wanna help you. I wanna get you to move, to enjoy movement, to think about movement differently. So watch the video that's on the screen right now to learn more ways to incorporate movement and exercise into your life. This is Mini Movement Man saying be kind to one another. Go practice those handstands. Move well. Peace.